Yo, what up, collective? It's story time. I want to explain why I am the way I am and what signs and synchronicities led me to who I am. I am refusing to step down from this sovereign knowing of who I have become. I've alchemized so much, and if energy is a projection of how we feel, how we think, then I will not tolerate anybody casting judgment upon me. You know, it takes a lot of courage to answer the call of God. And it may scare a lot of people because they're like, man, like, what does this mean? Or, intimidate people. Like, what makes you so special? Homie, I don't know. But what called me to make this video is, as I was driving, my car's odometer turned to 133. At the same time that I only had 133 kilometers of fuel left. I'll post the pictures. So 133 in numerology to me is I am 1. 33 is Christ, Jesus, that type of energy, Christ consciousness. You know, I do believe that God, Source, did come down as Jesus to prophesize what was going to happen, to warn the people and to heed the people into surrendering to thyself, to find the true roots of what it is to be a human, an extension of Source. Back in May, I went to Goodwill, and it was May 17th, I believe. I'm going to post the pictures and the timelines. But I went in there and I had a really trippy day. Like, this is, ever since April of this year, my spiritual awakening fucking went savage. So I get to the Goodwill and I walk into the Goodwill and I see this poster of an astronaut going like this into space. I'm like, oh, cool, Ascension 222. What up on the timer? I then lift up that picture, and underneath that picture, it said, Revelations. No king or man can hide. And I got really tripped out because, like, I've always been interested in the book of Revelations. In the Vedic calendar horoscope book, June 5, my birthday, legend has it, Atlantis fell. I am 33 years old today, and I've never been so sovereign in my knowing. When I left Goodwill after seeing the astronaut and Revelations, no man or king can hide, there was a car decal on a truck, or a truck decal, whatever you want to call it. And this decal said, just an Ontario girl living in an Alberta world. Now, I am from Ontario. How can you not deny that series of events? Not to mention, when I got home, the box that they put my belongings in said prophecy. It was very scary for me at that point because it was so in my face. And it was like, if I didn't challenge it, I would get sick. I'd get fearful. I'd get anxiety ridden. Everything around me was crumbling. And meanwhile, everything has been, like, the last 3 years has been a very, very rocky shift of identity. So as I was driving today, my fuel gauge aligned perfectly with my odometer, how many kilometers I've driven. And I stopped at the Mac store to grab my daughter a Slurpee, and the fuel gauge went from 133 kilometers and it jumped up to 144. Now, in the book of Revelations, it says 144,000 are chosen, but no. 144 is a frequency of Christ. It's a frequency of 133, of one with divinity. So it was 133, one with Christ, and then literally a minute later, when I pulled over to park, it jumped to 144. I will post it. I can't explain why this has happened to me. I don't know. It doesn't make me special. I believe we all come here on a contract. I believe that we come here knowing our obligations, and based on our choices, we kind of build that plan, right? And when we cut off course, things happen to us for us to wake up. And even though everything is in divine timing, like my suffering did not go without notice, and what people are lacking to understand that this is truly in the judgment days. We are remembering. And how we must remember is we must alchemize the dark within the light. And what does that mean? We have to look at what makes us tick, why we think the way we think, why we are born into the families that we are born into, like my mother's last name is Jones, and there's a status quo that says keeping up with the Joneses, and that's just keeping up with materialism. My mother's birthday started on the age of Aquarius date. I got my period on the age of Aquarius date. What does that signify? Lineage. We are walking into a new zodiac era, a new zodiac energy. So what that means is our lineage are getting purified. Our lineage is getting cleared. Is that you? A lot of this can happen to somebody who grew up with most abandonment. Like, I'm not saying like my parents didn't fuck up. It's just, this is how it is, right? This was my life to date. This was my journey to answer, to understand, to look beyond what I know, to truly understand the purpose of life and the purpose of being in the present now. This, to me, is savage. Like, my daughter's birthdays, 8/6, 6/8. That mirrors each other. Again, signifying bloodline within the feminine, bloodline within the female. As above, so below. The age of Aquarius promises oneness. Oneness with source. So what that means is that we are now walking into a collective dark night of the soul. What you are feeling, you will not find unrest. You will not find unrest until we can sit back and remove the lens of filth, remove the lens of restrictions, remove the lens of I. Because we have an I identity, like I, Emily Beckett, I, Emily. I have an ego. But when we heal the ego that we have been raised in, right? So let's say I had all this grief and like, what a fucked up childhood, blah, 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 blah. We're now here. I built up such walls in my relationship, such walls of what I should be as a female, such walls in how I show up in the world. And when I finally came to and I understood what I had to do, I understood that I had to break down those walls, get to the root of why I am the way I am. It was messy, it was dark, but I integrated all that hurt. And now my ego is my true self, my true desire within the light, my true desire within holiness. And man, all I want is love, wholeness, abundance, acceptance. And I just wanted to share this because a lot of people cast judgment upon me, including my family. If anything, my family should be thanking me for being the black sheep that saves the lineage of our ancestors. This is what we are walking into, so be it. This is the revelations. On April 9th, I swear on my soul, Paul the apostle came to me in a dream saying, the 7 years have begun. Now, what are you going to do with this information? Call me crazy? Or see for once? Much love.